Rayman has a long history in the Mafia. The Mafia? Oh, no, in the media. He has an expansive presence beyond the games which most aren't familiar with. Once being the mascot character for Ubisoft, it explains why his presence was all over the place. Today we're going to look at these appearances. Not to say this is absolutely everything, if just to cover my back here because there is a long history to this stuff. Let's start with the games and software. The Super Nintendo Prototype from 1992. The existing Rayman prototype consists of a very short stage that you can walk through, meant to represent the internals of a computer. This computer malfunctions and absorbs its owner, Professor Hendrix. His nephew Jim is called upon to take charge of a worker inside the computer who's known as Rayman. Rayman will have to deliver an antivirus to the Master of Digital Worlds to fix the computer and presumably get his uncle out of it. From what I can gather here, Rayman's representation in the prototype is a bit like Microsoft's Clippy. The game had a 58-week development schedule planned, demonstrating their commitment to seeing this project through. They turned out to be very serious about it, going through numerous complications that more often result in a game's cancellation. It started development on the Atari ST, then shifted to the Super Nintendo, but the cartridge limitations were too tight for their vision. A Super Nintendo CD add-on is announced, which gives them some leeway, or not, as that unit ended up being cancelled. Well, how about that new Atari Jaguar? It's a flop. So, try the PlayStation, I guess? That ended up being the ideal platform for the game, with a Jaguar version that did release slightly later, although focused on an earlier in-development build of the game. That explains why this version feels so different compared with the others. The prototype we have, discovered in late 2016, is a basic demonstration that represents a very early point of its development. There are screenshots of a later build, which has unfortunately been lost to time according to the original team. Considering we'll never have this build, I would love to see a fan game based on these screenshots. Even just a short demo to play, that would be cool. If you're looking to learn more about the original prototype, there's a video by Corkben that goes into greater detail. But this isn't the focus of today, so let's move on. In September of 1995, Rayman was released to the world. Hooray! I know, you came here for the obscure, and while this next subject is fairly well known at this point, I think it needs to be mentioned here. The Rayman 2 2D Prototype from 1996. Once it became clear that Rayman was a success, development began on Rayman 2. However, at the time, it was a sort of pseudo 2D 3D game that used pre-rendered sprites, like Donkey Kong Country. It had depth to its level design, with layered stages that the player could transport themselves between. Undeniably creative, and the puzzles were pretty interesting as well, but nothing here could be described as groundbreaking. What you're seeing right now are presumably cutscenes that would end up in that version of the game. It was meant to continue the story of Rayman 1, which, isn't to say that the final Rayman 2 doesn't, but it did almost act like we've shifted into an alternate universe. If you'd like to try this prototype for yourself, collect 90% of the lums in a Rayman 2 playthrough on PlayStation 1 to unlock it. Yeah, that is a bit tedious just to try the prototype, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. This prototype ended up being cancelled after the team saw the upcoming three-dimensional Crash Bandicoot at E3 in 1996. As the gaming paradigm was undergoing a shift, a two-dimensional sequel would feel dated once the game is complete, hence explaining the direction that the team took. I have known some who wished the original vision for Rayman 2 was completed instead of what we got, but that does seem to be a minority. Rayman 2, as released, would go on to be very successful, so the shift may have been necessary to keep Rayman on the map. Really, with the original game and the expansions that would come out later, I don't really see a strong demand for more 2D Rayman at that period in time. Now being said, let's take a look at one of the reasons for that. Rayman Designer from 1997. While the team was busy revamping Rayman 2, they managed to pump out 24 new levels bundled with a mapper program. Players were then able to create and share maps of their own online. Rayman Designer features various new graphics which, beyond the levels themselves, are the only unique material defined here. Same music, same level select, but instead you're choosing levels from a Game World submenu. I don't intend to review this entire thing, my goal today is to be informative, but what are my quick thoughts on Rayman Designer? Well, let's just say, I'm glad the Anniversary Collection has a rewind feature. The Rayman Activity Center from 1997. 2 years after the original game came this interactive point-and-click adventure full of various activities. It's no Pajama Sam, fairly basic, but there are a lot of strange scenes to laugh at.
Are you through playing about Rayman?
Look closely at the model Mr. Black has drawn on the sheet of paper.
I swear this announcer is the same voice actor as the old man from Monopoly Jr.
You're passing go. That's $2 allowance in your wallet.
Rayman has to cross the ink sea on the dominoes. But there are still some dominoes missing because the game isn't finished.
I got strong flashbacks of Reader Rabbit while I was playing this. You remember that game? This was all from an era where children's education had actual soul in it. You can tell they cared about the imagination of a child and wanted to give them a fun, personable experience. There was an earnest commitment in positively bringing up the next generation. Sadly, we don't see much of this anymore. This isn't as flashy and in-your-face like children's content of today. So maybe this kind of thing doesn't test well for modern generations. Alright, that's enough societal decay for one video. Back to Coco Melon for you.
Do you really want to quit Rayman?
I couldn't if I tried. Something this and a lot of other Rayman PC games from the time have in common is that the credits say they're based on an original idea. So, not really from the minds of the original Rayman developers. In fact, you'll see different names being credited for the majority of it. For 1997, this is a fairly high-quality package. However, once you've seen everything, there's no real reason to revisit it. Although that's par the course with this stuff, I guess. I didn't hate playing this. It felt kinda zen in a way. But as an adult, I can't bring myself to say it was fun. It's not. Interesting to look through, though. Rayman by his fans from 1998. Using Rayman Designer, fans of Rayman could create their own levels and share them online. Ubisoft hosted a contest for players to submit their levels, of which the winners would be included in this Rayman by his fans bundle. So in a way, this is really just more Rayman Designer. Oh, where's he going? Alright, see ya, bud. In Rayman by his fans, the level select submenu is a lot more advanced. On the bottom of the screen, you can see which abilities Rayman has access to, which is very helpful to know going in. Also, some levels have descriptions that pass through the screen before you make your selection. Rayman 60 Levels from 1999. This is yet another collection of Rayman 1 levels, but designed by Ubisoft. I feel this is the best of the 3 expansion packs, at least in terms of quality level design. Designer and by his fans all had lots of sudden tricks that would spawn out of nowhere, as well as unfair level design in certain cases, but you might have already expected that. Not that Rayman 60 Levels is perfect, but it has a greater focus on linearity that is more akin to the original game. It's also very clear about the difficulty for each level before going in, which is much appreciated. I'm not always thrilled to start playing something only to find out it's akin to a rage game. Okay, I just have to mention while I'm editing this, I haven't played these games a bunch, right? But I've been noticing something about all the DOS expansions. You know that twinkly spawn-in sound that you hear in Rayman 1? Well, they've replaced it with this obnoxiously loud sound effect, and I'm shocked nobody complained about this. There's actually a lot of other sounds that were replaced in these collections. I don't like any of them. I wish there was an option to just replace the sounds with what's in Rayman 1. Really, I don't even know why they did this in the first place. I would recommend trying this expansion out if you have the Anniversary Collection. I should note that this happened a couple times as I was playing. Don't know why. It also doesn't seem like they've fixed the audio delay yet, whether that's ever gonna happen or not. I think we can all agree that these expansions were extremely valuable to this collection. Previously, they weren't very easy to access. The only issue, and a subjective one at that, is you don't get the original game's soundtrack for it.
That's my one fear. That's my one fear with this, is that we're gonna get constant kazoo, jaw harp, and whistling.
Rayman Preparatory Classes from 1999. This was recommended to me by ZetaXO, who helped me to get it running in a virtual machine. Preparatory Classes has many similarities to the earlier Activities Center, even has a few shared minigames, but it more closely resembles a sequel. This one was a France exclusive, so it's only playable in French, which I have a very loose understanding of.
Salut l'ami, content de te voir. On y va?
Basically, it's an edutainment game for the first grade level of math and reading comprehension. As I don't really speak French, I just fooled around with it for a bit.
Te conduira aux notes et aux mélodies.
This is entirely unrelated, but there was a singer in Canada known as Etienne growing up. Yeah, in Canada we took French classes, it was mandatory. And the teachers loved this guy, they would always play his music. There was this one really catchy song he had that's still stuck in my head to this day. J-A-E-2-A-A-S, Ila, Ella. I don't know why I'm even bringing this up. Alright, back on the subject here. Rayman has some weird transformations in this game, if I can even call it a game. Most of these scenes take place in short music pieces, which I guess kids could sing along to and learn from.
Des gazelles, des éléphants.
Oh god!
Une pieuvre et un requin se sont...
Note.
Huh. Those hula dancers are using Mr. Dark's cape as a skirt.
Au basket foot.
Dang! If Rayman was awesome!
Mais le mieux c'est encore...
Eggplant lore! Here's a casino game. For first graders. Get them hooked while they're young, huh? Seeing all these Rayman 1 locations without anyone in them is... wow, so liminal, so liminal! Rayman Brian games from 2001. Okay, I know I said before that I wouldn't play this, but Brain Games is too iconic to not include here. It was released in 2001, which is interesting considering we'd gone well into the Rayman 2 era by this point. It seems this was made as a console substitute for the edutainment games, as it's essentially a port of the earlier 1996 DOS release, Amazing Learning Games with Rayman. That version of the game seems to have a little more content, like this exclusive introduction cutscene. It shows that Mr. Dark has invaded the magician's home and stole the Book of Knowledge. Batilla and the magician then collect Rayman to save the day. He probably won't be getting paid for this. Throughout the game, these two will give you tutorials on what to do. Anyone above the target demographic can skip that though, because, well, to an adult it's all pretty obvious. The experience consists of platforming challenges surrounded by early childhood word and letter problems to solve. It's never explained why Rayman has to do any of this. Solving a problem correctly will have you continue through the level, but an incorrect choice will instantaneously spawn in an insta-death obstacle or bottomless pit. That's the whole game, apparently. Nah, I'm not gonna play this whole thing. I will say I did find it strange how you start in the Blue Mountains instead of the Dream Forest, though. If you come out of this video wanting to try any of the Rayman edutainment games, for whatever reason that may be, avoid the headache of old software and just give Brain Games a try. But even then, you're really not missing out on much. If you're just looking for more Rayman 1 platforming, then try 60 levels in the Anniversary Collection. The Rayman 3 Print Studio from 2003. This is an incredibly basic compilation of printing software to make your own Rayman 3 promotional material. Man, if this doesn't get me in the mood to play Rayman 3, I don't know what will. Not much I can say about this, but I did spot this concept art for a fairy that I don't recall seeing in the game. This software was sold in a 10th anniversary bundle for PC, but also sold separately? Can't tell you why. Come to think of it, the PC did have a crap ton of weird shovelware in the 2000s at Walmart, and I could imagine this showing up there. But you don't usually see this stuff from a major IP, especially not back then. The Rayman Raving Rabbids Activity Center from 2006. This was a promotional item in North America, sold separately in the UK, in which case I can better understand this one being sold separately. There is a sort of game here. Sort of. It's like those Nickelodeon PC games from the same time period. I was so disappointed when I brought home Fairly Odd Parents Break Into Rules for PC, and I would probably also be disappointed by this in 2006 if I paid money for it. It starts with Rayman walking into the scene to see a giant bunny mecha in front of him. Notice the circle on Rayman's shirt isn't aligned properly, which will be the case for the entire game. It claims the plot involves the Rabbids invading us from outer space with their mothership. You'll have to play some minigames to get the Rabbids back to their ship, then return them to space. If you haven't noticed yet, this is somehow based on the Rayman 4 prototype and didn't seem to get the memo of a development swap. The story they've gone with is a complete misunderstanding though, because the Rabbids were meant to invade from the ground, not the sky. You have 4 choices to make from the menu. First is a video booth where you can watch most of the promotional videos for the game.
For centuries, they've been among us.
One of these trailers showcases an early build after the development swap, which has a few interesting differences. This was peak comedy in 2006. Next, there's a wallpaper studio where you can make your own wallpapers, and hold on, that guy isn't in the final game. Then we have a print studio, not much different from the last. You can hear some strange murmuring here, which might have been how the Rabbids would communicate among each other in the prototype. Keep in mind they were supposed to be this strange, unusual force, so it would make sense if that was the idea. and we have heard this kind of murmuring in other promotional material too. Lastly, there are 4 included minigames to play, and they're all uniquely bad. In the first one, you have to throw Rabbids at this target. Click and spin your mouse in this small playing space, then let go at the precise moment. I wasn't able to do this even once, although I was using a virtual machine, so it's possible something was bugged. Second minigame has you sneaking past Sergey with an unconscious Rabbid that you'll have to hold up towards you when he looks. Interestingly, they've called Sergey the Butcher here, which was his role in the prototype. The third minigame gives you outlines to paint, and the fourth minigame has you smacking Rabbids that pop out of the sea. Plays like that burrowing minigame from the final, but takes place at the carrot juice booth. Look at Sergey's goofy-ass walk cycle in the credits. There are some fun visual gags in this activity center, and the promotional videos are fun to look at, but I would never recommend this to someone. The Rayman Raving Rabbids 2 PC demo from 2008. The second installation of Raving Rabbids came out late 2007, with an obscure PC release coming out later to a few countries, but not North America. Canada specifically got this demo for the game bundled with Saputo Cheeseheads. The Rabbids Activity Center was also bundled in the same way. Whatever prize inside was always referred to as a special gift from your friend Zach. Who was Zach, and what was his correlation to a Cheese Strings knockoff? The world may never know. So I actually had this demo long ago. It sucks. That opinion carries into the game itself. I never liked Rayman Raving Rabbids 2. It wasn't made by the same developers, and it shows. Anyways, you get 4 minigames here, which you can apparently play in multiplayer, but no thanks. First is Spicy Chicken. You'll be eating hot peppers to blow flames at raw chicken. Consider the meter below. If you eat too many hot peppers before blowing, you'll overcook the chicken and won't get any points. This game is average. The second is Bumper Cars, which is just a clone of Namco's Motos. Knock your competition off the tower. Third is a Snail Race, which is the worst button mashing game I've ever played. Then we have Ice on Ice. Within an ice rink, you'll be feeding a greedy rabbit by delivering as much ice cream as possible. Deliver the most against your competition to win. And that's it. There's nothing else to do here. Thanks, Zach. The most interesting thing about this demo is the fact that you can actually load the entire game by copying the big file from the existing Wii version. It's largely unplayable, but the fact that it actually works is insane.
You can give it to me when I need to come along.
So I was going to include other Rayman media in this video, such as his presence in animation, as well as other promotional material that isn't games or software. But I think this video's long enough already, so I might as well turn that into a separate project. I hope you enjoyed this dive into the obscure library of Rayman software, and I look forward to catching you all in the next part, whenever I get around to it. For now, take care, everyone.
Yeah.